Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Kuri, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. So Saturday started off with a bang, which is I was laying on the sofa, couch for you guys in America. I'd come from work, so I was laying down, and after about an hour or so of sleeping, my wife came down naked and she goes, "Hello, I'm awake," and I was like, "Okay, I'm awake now," and then ran upstairs, we had some fun, and it was incredible time for us to connect. Because 3 weeks before that, logistically, it was impossible for us. We normally only have sex on the weekend, and logistically, it was just not easy for us. But there were certain things that we're doing to maintain sex top of mind. So when we had the opportunity, this transition from just our normal interactions was a lot easier. And I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, why is it that that gap is very hard for many people to breach? And when you're in a sexless relationship, you've already gone for months and months without sex. Some of you guys have gone for years and years, or sometimes you just get pity sex. So there's certain things that are happening in terms of just that transition. And I was thinking, and that transition it can be difficult based off of the behaviors that you do, and your behaviors influence an environment. So when you think of it from this perspective, and this is how I view sex. So within those 3 weeks where we're not doing anything, my behaviors were influencing the environment. That environment then made it conducive for her to transition easier. And this is a very important point because recently my daughter had a school project, and the school project was to grow a bean. And she came from school with this bean that was in a sort of a little cup, a plastic cup, and it was already in compost. It already germinated. We just needed to let it grow for a little bit longer and then transfer it into a bigger pot. So we did this. As we did this, it started growing. It grew to a point where it was now growing down because it was flimsy. So we needed to put it on a stick so it continued to grow properly. As soon as she was doing this, she snapped the stem, and then she was really upset about the whole thing, completely upset. So I said to my wife, I'm going to buy another plant because she really enjoyed looking after this plant, and all of a sudden it's broken. My wife was like, no, she was really upset. I don't want her to have another plant. But in my head, I was thinking, well, I don't want to stop her from, if it breaks, it breaks. I don't want to save her from heartbreak or whatever. I wanted to experience what it's like that if you don't look after it, then anyways, that was one conversation, but it was an important lesson that she needed to learn. I never got around to it, so all that conversation was all for nothing because I never really got around to buying one. So I was cleaning out the fridge a week ago, and I was cleaning out the fridge. By the way, I was not cleaning out to impress her at all. I just saw the fridge that it needed cleaning up, so I did. So that's just a little message for you guys that are doing things in order to impress her. Don't do it. Anyways, so I'm cleaning out. Then I found this clove of garlic. So it had been in there for so long that it started growing, or it germinated a little bit. So I was like, oh, that's weird. So I thought, what if I plant this garlic into that little pot and see what happens? So imagine this thing was trying to grow, but it just didn't have the right environment for it to grow. So all of a sudden, take this pot, this clove of garlic, put it into the pot, put some compost, watered it, and just waited. And I didn't even say anything to my daughter at the time when I did it. And then my daughter came the other day. I think I'd woken up and she was at home. She's like, "Dad, come and see this." And I came in and had a look, and it was that clove. It began to sprout out of the ground, and since then, she's been watering every single day. The weather's been really good, so there's just the actual clove is in a very beautiful environment in terms of the compost, the watering, and the weather. So it's in a conducive environment to grow. Now we're within autumn, so we're beginning to it's getting cooler and cooler by the day. I don't know what's going to be the effect of the actual growth of this thing when it gets cooler and cooler, and I'm guessing by the time November comes, when we're hitting sub-zero or close to zero, that's not a good environment for it to grow. But you can see that there's a contrast for this plant. And if you see your seduction, or at least you having sex, as this little clove of garlic, that in the right environment it grows, in the wrong environment it doesn't. So it becomes, your behaviors have to influence the environment in order to get this thing to grow. And it's the same with the sex. If you don't, and usually what most guys do is that they lead with resentment, they lead with anger, they lead with self-pity, they lead with all these other emotions that creates this environment then that becomes not conducive for it's this beautiful transition into seduction. So it's a very, very important thing. And this is why we can go for 3 weeks and to a certain extent without penetration still feel sexually fulfilled. Which is, it's almost mind-boggling, because when you think about it, you think, well, you're not having sex but you still feel sexually fulfilled. Yes, I do. Yes, I do feel the desire of having penetration, because that's probably evolution thing. But in terms of the thing that I really want, I'm already getting. So the sexual desire, when my wife gives me a 5-finger necklace and then kisses me, that really just conveys desire, conveys all the things that I want her to feel for me. And that is more valuable than the actual penetration. You know, when she comes and then she holds me from the back, and then she just shows me that that kind of affection is what I'm talking about. And because we've created an environment where that's okay, the transition from just the normal day-to-day interactions become easier to go into seduction and then do what we do. So I'm saying this episode because I wanted you guys to at least see how I view a dry spell. And I know 3 weeks isn't a dry spell because some of you guys have gone for years and months without having sex. But for me, in terms of it, I was focused on the environment, that's being playful, and there's certain games that we do, so physical games where my wife tackles me on the bed. I do the same. We wrestle, we play fight. And it's just the thing that we like to do. That's the physical side. Verbally, we like to make commentary of what we're watching, and we'll role play based off of that, whatever we're watching. It's just a thing that we do. We find it funny, or we mock each other. So she'll say something and I'll just mock and just tease her all the time, and she'll do the vice versa. And when she's teasing me, I just take it, because some guys, I saw one guy recently when we were out, his wife teased him, and it was a tease, and he got really upset about it. And sometimes that's what you need in order to add to the seduction, just that really playful tease of, like, I've got a big forehead. My wife talks about my forehead. It wasn't insecurity before, but it's just something that we joke about. The other day, we were going somewhere, and she I don't know if you guys, your wife talks to you about this stuff, but she had the bath, and then bath water was coming out after we're now walking. We're literally in town and walking. She's like, "Oh no, my bath water is coming out." And I was like, "Oh shit." I think we're going to have a tsunami. And then I was with my daughter and we started laughing about it. Like, oh, it's going to be a tsunami. And then my daughter was like, oh, maybe she's going to come out so fast, it's going to be like a jetpack. And we're all laughing about this. It's just funny. And while it was, it's not massively sexual, it's not massively funny or anything, but we made a joke about something that was just happening as it goes along. And we left it. And it wasn't even a joke that was going to be a move for us to have sex. That was not even the case. It was just us having fun. And I'm putting that out because it's just the one that I remembered. But throughout the day, there was a lot more of that, where we're just pointing out stupid things and having fun about silly things continuously. And when you do that, it makes life so much easier, much more fun, much more interesting. And when you got that sort of environment, the transition from just those normal day to day to actual seduction becomes so much easier. And at the same time, when I was doing all of that, is that I was maintaining that level of top of mind in terms of sex. So I sometimes consciously do it. Sometimes I now just do it because that's how I am. But sometimes I'm conscious to keep sex at top of mind, and she's conscious of doing sex, keeping the sex top of mind. But we don't address this sex itself. Just like that piece of garlic, in order for it to grow, we just put it in an environment where it was conducive for it to grow. So it's just like seduction and sex. You have to put it in a right environment for it to continuously grow. So I'm going to knock it off from this point here, but hopefully that's something that you can take away and really start considering, that you need to influence the environment with your behavior in order to start getting better results in your seduction. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. I'll be seeing you guys soon. Take care.